परेण नाकं निहितं गुहायां विभ्राजते तद्यतयो विशन्ति वेदांत विज्ञान सुनिश्चितार्थाः संन्यासयोगाः जतयः शुद्ध सत्त्वाः ते ब्रह्मलोके तु परान्तकाले परामृतात् परिमुच्यन्ति सर्वे दहरं विपापं परमेश्वरभूतं यत् पुण्डरीकं पुरमद्य सर्वस्वम् तत्रापि दहनं गगनं विशोकस्तस्मिन् यतन्तस्तदुपासितव्यम् यो वेदादौ स्वरः प्रोक्तो वेदान्ते च प्रतिष्ठितः तस्य प्रकृतिलीनस्य यः परः स महेश्वरः. ॐ उत्तेहेऽप्यस्वजातवेदोपघ्नं निहृत्किं मम पशोगश्च मह्यमावहात् जीवनं जितिशोत्तिशा मानो हि पुंसि जातवेदोग्गामश्वं पुरुषं जगते अभिव्रजग्न आगहि श्रेहा मपरिपातया ॐ दीपदेवताभ्यो नमः. विद्यातत्त्वाय स्वाहा. विद्यातत्त्वाय स्वाहा. ॐ सत्त्वतत्त्वाय स्वाहा. ॐ सत्त्वतत्त्वाय स्वाहा. अस्य प्रणवस्य परब्रह्म ऋषिः दैवी गायत्री छन्दः परमात्मा देवता प्राणायामे विनियोगः. ॐ ॐ ॐ विष्णु मुद्रा make some flowers. You pinch the rice there. Holding your hand like this. Om Namo Tatsate. Om Tatsate. Tatsate. Namo Pata. The rice is there. Namo Pata. Samasta. Samasta. Durita. Durita. Shayadwara. Shayadwara. Shri Parameshwara. Shri Parameshwara. Prityartham. Prityartham. Makara Shankranti. Makara Shankranti. Punyakale. Punyakale. Shri Guru Jayanti. Shri Guru Jayanti. Punyakale. Punyakale. Shri Gananath. Shri Gananath. Amritananda. Amritananda. Swami. Swami. Padapujam. Padapujam. Karishye. Karishye. Some difficulty with Shankula. Okay. And so sprinkle water in your head. Om Apa Upasprisya. Om Apa Upasprisya. Apa Upasprisya. Om. Invocation. We take some flower petals. Gananathaya vidmahe. Gananathaya vidmahe. Amritakaya dhimahi. Amritakaya dhimahi. Tanno. Tanno. Dishah prachodayat. Dishah
प्रचोदयात्
गणानाथामृतानन्द स्वामिने नमः ध्यायामि आवाहयामि स्थापयामि offer some more flowers. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Ratna Simhasanam Samarpayami. Just in the water. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Padayoho Padyam Samarpayami. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Hastayoho Arkyam Samarpayami. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Om Bhurvasvaha Atmaniyam Samarpayami.
Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanat Mrityurmukshiyamamritate. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanat Mrityurmukshiyamamritate. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan 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 Mrityurmukshiyamamritate. Om Ajnananashanaaya Vidmahe Jnanaprakashaya Dhimahi Tanno Gurupaduka Prachodayat.
You take that water and just put it aside and clean it for now. Om Sadyo Jatam Prapadyami Sadyo Jata Yavai Namo Namaha. भवे भवे नाति
भवे भवे नाति
भवे भवस्वमां
भवे भवस्व मां
भवोद्भवाय
भवोद्भवाय
नमः
नमः
वामदेवाय
वामदेवाय
नमो
नमो
ज्येष्ठाय नमः
ज्येष्ठाय नमः
श्रेष्ठाय नमः
श्रेष्ठाय नमो
रुद्राय नमः
रुद्राय नमः
कालाय नमः
कालाय नमः
कलविकरणाय
कलविकरणाय
नमो
नमो
बलविकरणाय
बलविकरणाय
नमो
नमो
बलाय
बलाय
नमो
नमो
बलप्रमदनाय
बलप्रमदनाय
नमः
नमः
सर्वभूतदमनाय
सर्वभूतदमनाय
नमो
नमो
मनो
मनो
मनाय नमः
मनाय नमः
ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः
ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः
वास्त्रं समर्पयामि
वास्त्रं समर्पयामि
श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः
ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः
यज्ञोपवीतां
समर्पयामि
श्रीगुरुभ्यो
ॐ
नमः
श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः
पुष्पैः
पूजयामि
ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः
ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः
गन्धान्
धारयामि
गन्धस्योपरि हरिद्रा
कुङ्कुमं
समर्पयामि
विभूतिं समर्पयामि
श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः
श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः
पुष्पमालं समर्पयामि
गुरुभ्यो नमः ॐ श्री 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 गुरुभ्यो नमः Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaః. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaః. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaః. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaః. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaః.
You can push the bell and ring the bell as you do this. Om Dashandam Gurulokhetam
Dasham Gangulupetam
Sugandham
Sugandham Sumano Haram
Agreya
Abhyaya
Sarvadevanam
Sarvadevanam
Upojam
Apojam
Upojam
Bhupoyam
Rati
Prati
Vrihatam
Grihattam
Rupam
Dhupam
Athapayami.
Agghapayami.
So you know, do the partly light
Bell.
maybe Gayatri.
Okay. Om Bhurbhuvasvah Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvasvah Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvasvah Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat.
Namaste Attu
Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Trayambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikagnikalaya Kalagnirudraya Nilakantaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shrimanmahadevaya Namaha.
flowers. Go around the light 3 times with the flowers like this. You can receive that and give to Bharat. And then, Bharat, if you could go around and explain to people that they're receiving energy through the flame, you can get the art together in there. So we can put the rest of the flowers with this mantra here. Om Yopam
Om Yopam
Pushpam
Pushpam
Veda
Veda
Pushpavan
Pushpavan
Rajavan
Rajavan
Pashuman
Pashuman
Bhavati
Bhavati
Chandramava
Chandramava
Apam Pushpam
Apam Pushpam
Pushpavan
Pushpavan
Rajavan
Rajavan
Pashuman
Pashuman
Bhavati
Bhavati
Evam Veda
Ya Evam Veda
Yopayatanam
Veda Ayatanavan Bhavati Nana Prajaya Dhanena Tyagena Amritatvamanasu Parena Nakam Nihitam Guhayam Viprajate Tatjatayo Vishanti Vedanta Vijnana Sunishthitartha Sannyasa Yoga Yataya Sutta Sattvaha Te Brahma Loke Parantakare Paramritat Parimuchanti Sarve दह्रं विपापं परमे एष्मभूतं यत्पुण्डरीकं पुरमध्यसगुंस्ताम् तत्रापि दहरं गगनं विशोकस्तस्मिन् यदन्तस्तदुपासितव्यम् यो वेदादौ स्वरप्रोक्तो वेदान्ते च प्रतिष्ठितः तस्य प्रकृतिलीनस्य यः परः स महेश्वरः अनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Pranaya Swaha,
प्राणाय स्वाहा
Apanaya
स्वाहा व्यानाय स्वाहा उदानाय स्वाहा समानाय स्वाहा
Brahmane Namaha. Om Satyasarajagam Mujarajaha Nakshatra Nagam Sarva Sarvasistha Purveya Purveyagamahiti Mangalam Madhurimagam Sameta Pasyata Saubhagamasya Datvaya Stamyatare Tanam Om. Okay. You can be kind of clean some stuff up.
Okay.
So that was the Pada Puja, which we have completed. Don't know if any of you have ever attended a puja before of any sort, so it's maybe a unique experience, a new, different experience for you. I'm not sure how much experience any of you have with any spiritual teachers, or how much you even know of these traditions. Some of you, I guess, know something about yoga. Who has a spiritual teacher, a guru? Anyone here? Who has any sense of what that means? Anyone here? No. Very interesting, because I had gotten the thought before I came to give a talk on a more advanced sort of subject, which is how to connect with your spiritual teacher. Of course, the questions a lot of people have. In India, there's more understanding what is a spiritual teacher. In the West, we've got to understand we have a relatively long tradition of the mystics, and the saints have been often killed for having some connection spiritually. In the Christian tradition, in the Islamic tradition, they consider martyrs very special, because somehow in these societies, spiritual teachers have encountered some difficulties in being accepted by it. One thing, maybe the mystical teachings are in the mainstream in the Eastern traditions. The mystical teachings have not been so much in the mainstream. When you read the Bible, there is the mysticism there. Knock and you shall enter. The kingdom of heaven is within you. But people don't necessarily take that so literally. There's another sort of teaching as well. A teacher gives recommendations for students, and always in a way that safe recommendations are given in case anyone heard that and anyone wants to try without the specific guidance of a teacher. The instructions a teacher may give to an individual student may be very different based upon the needs of that person and their own development. So the kind of questions people often have is, what is a spiritual teacher? How do you know when you've met your spiritual teacher? How do you recognize a real spiritual teacher? That's one I find very funny, actually. So there's so much concern out there that there's fake gurus and fake swamis running around there. People are always very concerned about that. They ask me all the time, what about these fake Swamis? I have not yet to meet the guy anyway who is going home and taking off his robes and saying, "Ha ha, I've got them tricked." I have met some people that maybe they are more worldly than others. Some teachers maybe um, more spiritually connected, more detached from the ego, and some maybe less so. But whenever anyone is inspiring people toward being kind to each other, inspiring people toward practices which can help them in their lives and help people around them, like prayer and meditation, it always helps. It's always a good thing. And so whether that individual is struggling some in their personal life, it's a little bit irrelevant. But people get so scared of the fake gurus coming to get them like they're zombies coming or something. In India in particular, our state of consciousness being here embodied is somewhat affected by the state of being in the body, experiencing life through the senses, experiencing the thoughts and the emotions in the mind. It's less than the ultimate reality. We're bound by this experience. We don't need to be bound by this experience. So, when I finish talking, I'll let you guys ask me questions if you have any, but I'm going to skip some of those questions, like how do you attract your teacher to you? When you're ready, your teacher will just show up, no problem. Many teachers, they give long discourses on this kind of a subject. No problem, when you're ready, teacher just appears in your life. How do you recognize a teacher? No problem again. You'll recognize your teacher. How do you know your teachers? Many different teachers out there. I've worked with several teachers myself. I've been very blessed to have them in my life. And so how do you choose one teacher from the many teachers that may be out there? You'll just be drawn to your teacher, no problem. You feel a connection there. And maybe one teacher has a little bit of something to share with you, it gives to you to teach you. Maybe another teacher has something else for you as well. No problem really there. Though the teacher may be within a body, the teacher is beyond space and time as well. In yoga, if you studied yoga, they talk about siddhis, mystical powers you develop as you practice yoga. There's 8 mystical powers that they say you develop, like you become weightless, and you can float, or you can become invisible, or you can become as small as an atom or as big as the universe. A realized teacher would have and be able to demonstrate these 8 powers of yoga. But really, it's unimportant, these powers. They're very easy to get powers like this. Very difficult to see yourself. That make much sense. But we look within, we look at ourselves in the mirror, we see the body. We see a grouping of our memories. We see the thoughts in the mind, the belief system which we've created for ourselves. We see that, and that blocks seeing what is actually there, the divine potential within. Seeing that is the highest purpose of life, ultimately. Being disconnected from your divine self is the ultimate source of all unhappiness. So skipping some of these subjects, I'll talk just a little bit about how to connect with a teacher. Assuming if you know what a teacher is and you found a teacher. It may not be me, I don't care, I just, I do what I do, and I try to help people be where they need to be, certainly. It may not be sitting here with me, but we've come here for a reason, all of us tonight. We're very lucky to be thinking these thoughts, very blessed to be, I've received these teachings from my own teachers. Very few people talking, thinking about these things in the world. They would say it's on account of our many, many good deeds in the past, in this lifetime and past lifetime, that we can be sitting here together tonight thinking thoughts like these. Do we even have any ability to do that? A lot of people in life, they just get themselves more and more bound to the world, more and more bound to suffering. They have no openness and no experience even with hearing that there's a way that they can free themselves from being bound to all the things in the world. So we're very lucky to even be able to be sitting here thinking this stuff. That's the first thing I'll say. How to connect with a teacher, you've just got to be open. Energy and consciousness is like anything else. In yoga, Patanjali tells us that we should avoid people whose influence brings us down. We should seek to be around people whose influence brings us up. This is a very important concept because consciousness is affected by the consciousness around us, and what we think affects people around us. You may not think that, but if you're thinking a negative thought, if you're feeling sad, it's going to make everyone around you feel just a little bit more down. I'm sure you've experienced that you've gone in a place where there's a lot of tension, and all of a sudden you feel very tense. You go in a place where people are screaming and they feel angry. You either feel very tense or you may start to feel a little bit angry in time. Certainly if you're around people who are agitated, it has an agitating influence. Maybe some people are more grounded in their own sense of being, but to a certain extent it will always affect you. Similarly, if you're around positive people, thinking about good things, doing charity work, that sort of thing, it will help you to feel a little happier, help you to be a little bit more generous. One thing being around a spiritual teacher, just being in the presence of a teacher is one way you expose yourself energetically to the higher consciousness. The ego mind makes a mistake. And it says that I am separate from everything. We have this feeling from within the body that we are separate. It's not true. The level of the body, there's a separation. Maybe even at the level of the mind, there's a little bit of a separation. Less so, though. When you look at a person, sometimes you can just tell that they're feeling upset. Because what they're feeling is not just within their mind, it's an energy. A frequency, a vibration is floating out into the air. And from that, we can feel that. We experience that a little bit. So you may ask someone, are you feeling upset? Because you feel it. We call this intuition. If you're thinking a lot of thoughts, you're less clear to receive that. When you practice meditation, if you practice yoga, if you practice mantras, you practice stilling the mind. You open yourself up to that intuition. You start to notice this thing much more, all these things, everything around you. You start to notice that on the level of thought, you're much more connected to people. You may sometimes know what someone is going to say before they say it. I've had that happen. I'm sure many of you have had that happen. Sometimes it happens more often with people we're closely connected to, with brothers and sisters. They say often identical twins get that very often, that they can totally read each other's minds because they were very closely connected and are still very closely connected. Sometimes a mother has that sort of a feeling. Let's say sometimes a mother knows when her child is in trouble even when the child is out playing. And this kind of connection shows us that on the level of thought and feeling, there's less separation. But beyond that, there's even less separation. When you get beyond the mind, there's even less separation. So ultimately, to the extent that we focus on the physical body, we'll feel separated. We're bound to the physical realm of existence, which can be very nice. Nothing wrong with the physical world. We've got to be in the world. We're here for the purpose to realize who we are. And we need to be here living in the world to do that. So nothing wrong with the world. The world is a great place, but there's something wrong with looking at it in an unrealistic way, where we expect the things of the world will stay the same and they're always changing. If we attach too much to the body, we think we are the body, we're going to get very scared at the time the body is dying. But the soul continues. It's like putting on a jacket, taking off the jacket. To the extent we associate with the body, we may be very unhappy. We may suffer very much in life. But when you practice, you can get beyond that attachment to the body. You may move into the emotions and the intellect, but you can move even beyond that. Because the thoughts we're having are not who we are. Being around the teacher is very helpful. You know, it's the nature of the mind to create these delusions. The mind holds on very strongly to this sense of, I am this. The mind tries to defend these thoughts. Very funny, people will often defend their faults. You know, people have a belief that they have a fault, and it may not even be true, but people will defend it. When they find themselves succeeding, they say, no, I'm too stupid to have success, too stupid to be passing this course in school, or something like that. People will limit themselves very much by their beliefs, false beliefs, negative beliefs about who they are. The mind can be a very limiting thing, but it's the nature of the mind to limit us, to keep us as we are. Because so long as we identify with that sense of I am this, to give that up feels like you're dying. It feels very uncomfortable. And so this is one, you know, in the practice of Pada Puja, in the practice, you may have seen Ifet Padmakshi bowing to me before she left. This is a practice, you know, it's a practice of humbling yourself. They say if you humble yourself, you give up the ego. Just a little bit. That's why it's a wonderful practice. Some people go to the temple, they prostrate repeatedly. Just again and again and again and again they bow. And the purpose there is to humble yourself. Because when you humble yourself, you get rid of some of these limitations and you allow a little bit of divine energy to come in. There's nothing you need to do. There's nothing you need to become, nothing you need to be. You already are divine. And you may experience life in the body, sitting here in this room. You may not be experiencing very much things which are beyond this room, but your soul is. Your soul exists throughout the universe. And you can experience yourself on that level. There's no worries in the world. Nothing frightening at all. Nothing can trouble you. It's a very blissful, peaceful existence. What's the purpose of these practices?
Om na karmana na prajaya dhanena tyage naike amritattvamana shuho parena nakam nihitam gohayam viprajade tadhantayo vishanti vedanta viktana sunistithartha sanyasa yoga jataya shuddha sattva te brahma loke tu parahanta kale paramritat parimucchanti sarve dahram vipapam parame eshma bhutam yat pundarikam puramadhyasaghastam tatra pitahram gagatnam vishokas tasmin yatantastadupasitavyam yo vedadau swarach prokto vedante cha pratishtitaha tasya prakriti linasya yah parasamaheshvaraha.
We're going to need 2 more bunches of flowers. There's some over here too. Give these. Oh, one of those. That's happened twice now. I tried to catch him, but I didn't do very good there.
You're just scared for it.
Come here.
Do you want to cough it up or something?